Concept art often solves problems and needs to be very explanatory and descriptive. And production art often needs to make a story be absolutely clear for your team or for your partners and investors. But if you want to inspire your audiences further than just by amazing design and ideas, you can send them on a journey by remaining unclear and by being not too descriptive. In this video, I'll describe the 3 tricks I use to make concept art engaging and challenging, but I'll also tell you why you might not want to have your artwork be challenging. Welcome to Technical. My name is Rasmus. I'm an art director and a concept designer with 20 years of professional games development experience, and I'm on a mission to inspire and empower designers, makers, and creators design the future. So here we are with some reasonably old pieces of concept art, and these form the base of what I want to discuss with you guys today. So this is really about engaging the imagination of your audience, right? And making them invest themselves in the experience and make them wonder. And these 3 images have examples of some of those tricks that I use to, really capture the audience, or at least that's what I'm trying to do here. I'm having a lot of vagueness, a lot of unanswered questions, and I think when you look at these, you can make up your own stories when looking at them, and the whole idea about that is maybe if you make up your own story and maybe somebody else makes up a different story, the idea would be to spark some communication and some conversation between you, right? But obviously sometimes you don't want discussion, but we'll get back to that later in the video. So the first principle to really discuss when viewing these pieces is what I call moments earlier. So if we start with this one, obviously it's clear that we're in a reasonably dramatic situation here, right? And there is trouble brewing, and a city is this a war zone, or is this some sort of martial law, or what's happening here? So there's a whole bunch of questions that are not only sort of physically, how did this truck tank get here and all that, but also environmentally and societally, what has come before this point? What has led to this? And I think that, having a situation that is, it is not super drastic, but reasonably drastic, makes you wonder what the hell came before. And if we look at some of these other scenes here, this one, for instance, where we have this funny astronaut guy in a, what is this, 1800s mansion or chateau or something, and obviously the aesthetic contrast between this futuristic guy and the backdrop is quite clear. I mean, I call him futuristic even though he has these sort of knights, let's get the right color here. These knight knee pads here. But of course, what I'm doing here is obviously making it clear that something is really weird, and where the hell did he come from? It's almost like if I made rather than having him be a unit that can leave his spaceship or whatever by himself, if I had a cable like in the old divers, then you might think about this even more. aka, where did he come from? Is his ship outside? What's the deal here? Is he a time traveler or a submersible man in another time? But this one is very obvious that you go, what the hell is going on? Where did he come from? And for the last piece, this one, maybe actually more than a question about what has just happened. Maybe it's more about what's gonna happen. What is this horse rider looking for? I call him a horse rider, but you could also call him a nebulous Photoshop blob, because the rendering of this body is just terrible. I think the horse is okay, but the body is just ridiculous. Anyway, and he's observing, maybe this, what are these called? These tabletop mountains in the American desert, or past them. But he's certainly observing something in there, and of course, you might wonder where he came from, but I would certainly say you definitely wonder, where is he going? What's the thing there? So there's this principle of time, moments earlier or moments after, that is super important. And I think for you in your art, you can really play on this by leaving traces. It can be tire tracks, it can be weather, it can be remnants of a battle, whatever it might be. There's lots of things you can do to insinuate that time is passing and there is a before and that there is an after. So if you want to make your own science fiction scenes and you want to skip ahead a little bit, maybe you're a beginner and you're unsure of where to start, or maybe you're a seasoned pro and you want to speed up your workflow, the Big Medium Small Model Shop Creepables Asset Pack is a great start. It's a pack I made in collaboration with the team, and the intent of that is really to make a pack that feels like Lego, but for spaceship nerds, right? And that pack contains 600 plus items, lots of characters, and lots of little tiny bits so you can remix and build your own stuff. It also has a bunch of poses for these characters, and it has a bunch of hero ships as well that are pre-made for you, so that you can get started quickly. So again, as mentioned, whether you're curious or whether you're a pro that want to speed things up, check it out, link in the description. The next principle to discuss is what's happening off screen. Again, it's really, really simple. If we take these guys as well. Obviously, this guy here who looks somewhat like a leader of this situation that's unfolding here is pointing to something behind our little guard over here. And you're not sure if this guy has a representation of his own. I mean, you have this light coming in from the left side and giving him a little rim light here. So it feels like there could be some sort of tank truck over here and these guys are negotiating. It could also be all kinds of other things. So you don't know. And you don't know really who's, I mean, this guy here looks reasonably confident, I would say, but you don't know what's up with that. So yeah, and does this guy here, does he need his little army of minions here, or are they nervous or confident, or what's the deal? So having this confrontation between this guy and what's out here off screen makes you wonder again, what's the power balance here? What are they up against, and what are the odds and whatnot? And for this one, again, as I mentioned, off screen, is he looking past what I want to call them? Now I can't remember the English word for it. I want to call them, anvil. Are they called that? Okay, he's looking past these mountains here, and I suppose you could argue that actually what he's looking at is on screen, and I would say, yeah, it is, but it's then hidden inside. What are these fortresses? How many floors are there? Are they, I'm having one floor here and then some sort of entry point. You can even see a little path down here. Right, maybe you can go up here with your little horsey. Do they have trucks? What's the technology? Because of course we have radar dishes that insinuates a higher level of technology than a horse. But it's really a mystery what's in here, so it's unseen, and I think that's what I'm trying to say. Maybe off screen is the wrong headline, but hey, that's what we're going for. And for this one as well, as I mentioned before, does he have a ship out here, or a time traveling pod, or what's up with that? And where's this mansion situated, and all that? Is it a regular earthly environment, or is the mansion actually the foreign element in this world? I guess there are some expressively painted pine trees out here of some sort, but still makes you wonder. And so, yeah, situating points of interest outside or hidden from the viewer in your image is really, really a wonderful idea as well. And I flirted a little bit with the topic so far, but obviously the last thing here would be tension. And again, this guy, he's got a big tank, right? And he's pointing, he's demanding something. So obviously there's some sort of tension happening. And as I mentioned, who's really got the upper hand? This guy? Is he just a calm employee, this guy? Or is he the one with the power because he is calm, where this guy is maybe posing a little bit, and also he's parked his cool tank truck in a sort of a smart ass kind of way. But the tension in this is really what it's about. And again, as I mentioned, all these onlookers here, are they an army that's forming around the situation? Are they onlookers that are coming closer, or is it all planned? Are they part of this gang here? So tension is of course a classic thing, and I would say you could have the battle as well. You could have all kinds of things whizzing by and whatnot, right? Trouble and impact and all that. But I think the standoff that insinuates what's to come has more tension built into it than actually having the action. I mean, if I had done this with a cool action, maybe I would have argued that that would have been the best solution. But I'm personally interested in the vagueness of, again, what's going to happen, and where's the tension. And here, of course, it's quite clear that Our Lady of the House has brought some of these traditional 1800s bear hat guys, you know, royal guards or whatever. And of course, I'm doing that both to infer the time period and the gap of time between these guys and our astronaut friend here. And then they have rifles and whatnot. Maybe it's like, you know, the ones you load from the nose with a, you know, that's that thing, right? You pop in your thing and you go, pow. Anyway, and there's a lot of these guys, and only this one, you can't see any visible weapons on the astronaut. So obviously you think, well, okay, is he gonna have to run for it now, or does he have some sort of trick up his sleeve? We don't quite know. So I think that's quite funny. And of course, for this one, you know, you put a classic AK-47 on the back, which means either the lands are unsafe or he's on a mission to make some trouble. And again, this certainly looks like a defended place, right? With this lonely entry, and you can imagine that these platforms and areas up here would hold defense systems as well, maybe even gunnery systems. So lots of little links to tension, and as I mentioned before, you can see I really like when things allude to tension rather than give you the result, namely the combat or the conflict as it escalates. And so I think for all these, what I really enjoy is to leave the viewer with more questions than rather than having them leave with questions answered. I prefer having them leave with questions rumbling around inside them, and that's the tricks that I use to make sure that the artwork is interesting and that it has that sort of tingling little brain, tingling brain tingle. Wow, in the viewer. And so in this video, I cheekily describe how vagueness and all this wishy-washy, looking back and forth outside the frame, not explaining anything, leaving the viewer with more questions than answers, and how that is the way to go. And I really do believe that's the way to go. And by the way, I'm not insinuating in the intro that Johnston's or Macquarie's work does not do that, because it certainly does. More to illustrate for you the classic ideas of what these different types of artwork are and what they do. But me as an artist and an enjoyer of art and design and whatnot have my needs, and I like being surprised and wondering, and maybe you feel the same way. That is not to say that there isn't a case for absolute clarity and everything like that. If you're in a room with a bunch of money people and investors and people like that, would you want to invest in something that is unclear to you or leaves you wondering? You know, probably not. So I would suggest, if you are in a situation like that you consider using more traditional storytelling devices where you can certainly use a lack of clarity. You can certainly inspire into the unknown and all that, but it's probably a good idea to come to a conclusion at the end, if nothing else, to really hammer home what you want to say, and hammer home what you want to say with clarity and confidence and all that. So let's enjoy this wishy-washy, chaotic, dynamic storytelling that takes place inside the viewer to make great art when that's the need, or great concepts when that's the need. But by all means, use precision and clarity when that's what's called for. If you want to see some more Photoshop stuff, you can check out this old video where I take some 3D artwork and pimp it up in Photoshop, sort of similar to the same process I would use to make the artwork you saw in this video. And if nothing else, then until next time.